901 Main Street in the heart of Old Town Conyers. We're calling our meeting to order this morning, and Commissioner Washington and I will work through this agenda this morning and
Absolutely.
move it in the direction that it needs to go. And as we're getting started, we will call our good friend, the Reverend Dr. Darrell Hall of the Way Community Church. He's here to lead us in the invocation and our Pledge of Allegiance. Dr. Hall.
I was ready.
Is this appropriate?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Good morning. It's good
Madam
to see you.
Commissioner. Can we bow for a word of prayer? Father God in heaven, we honor you today and we thank you for your grace towards us to not only wake us up this morning, but to give us the opportunity to serve the awesome citizens of this wonderful county. And you said in your word, if we commit our plans to you, that you would establish them. And so today we come before you in reverence and humility and wonder. And we asked that you would give us the wisdom we need for our responsibilities and our work. And we pray to do so with hearts of servanthood. I pray blessings upon these people, these leaders, and this county. And we ask this all in your son's name. Amen.
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 I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner Washington, I want to thank Dr. Hall and
Absolutely.
for his time this morning coming out. And I also want to take a moment to thank the Way Community Church. They're out in the southern district of Rockdale County on Highway 138 South. And the work that they do in the community that often goes unseen.
Right.
They do a lot of good work, and they also have a ministry, a mission that goes across the waters. But the thing that I appreciate is that they take care of home first. Oftentimes people are spending a lot of time and effort and resources going elsewhere, Chief Jordan, but it's nothing like taking care of home first. Dr. Hall and you and your team, we certainly appreciate, and I'd be remiss if I don't mention the relationship that our wonderful EBO manager and who was our lead coordinator for both our turkey giveaway and our ham giveaway, Miss Stacy Bonner Lewis, was able to connect with the folks out at the Way Community Church, and they gave a generous contribution of turkeys and hams to make sure that our senior citizens were well prepared on both of those holidays. Y'all give the Way Community Church and Dr. Hall another round of applause. I think it's so important that you highlight the folks, partnerships. A lot of folks use that word, Chief Sanders, really loosely. They use it loosely, partnership. We're partners. I'm your partner. But when it really comes to being a partner, it really means the essence of what we all say. Teamwork makes the dream work. So having relationships with the right people, and I often say, Director Redmond, that no one gets anything done by themselves, and certainly, Mary Lou, that government alone can't take care of all of the people in Rockdale County. And if it wasn't for the contributions of Dr. Hall, the Way Community Church, and many of our clergy and faith-based entities in Rockdale County, we wouldn't be the great county that we are. And I'm so proud to know that we are serving in a community, in a county, at a time where we can still open up our political business meetings with a word of prayer.
Absolutely.
Yes, indeed. Give God a hand clap of praise. Y'all got me excited in here this morning. You got me excited. Executive Director Mims, before it's all over, we might end up having church up in here this morning.
Right.
I don't know, Dr. Hall, I think you done planted the seed.
Well, can I give my own testimony about Dr. Hall's church? I happened to visit the Way Community Church during Women's History Month and it was a group of us that came. I was late though because I had my own issues. But the sermon that he gave was on sex trafficking, sexual exploitation, and how men need to treat women and put them in a place of protection. It was a very, very difficult sermon. It was a very heart-wrenching sermon, but it was one that absolutely needed to be done. And he did it with such eloquence and grace that I don't think there was a soul that was watching on camera or there that was not moved that morning. So I left there telling people about that sermon, and that doesn't happen very often. So I wanted to thank you for that sermon, and thank you for just being that bold, because I've never, all the churches that in sermons I've heard, I've never heard one that bold and that explicit about and bringing it Bible based and talking about those very, very tough subjects. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, and thank you for sharing that. As they said in the church, ain't nobody mad but the devil.
Absolutely.
We're going to go back to the people's business, and we're going to move to item number 3 on our agenda this morning. Item number 3, Executive Director Rutledge, is special recognitions and presentations. We're going to have a presentation from Mr. Ron Farley, who's representing our homelessness task force, with an update. All right.
Well, thank you. Mr.
Good
Chairman,
morning.
Commissioners.
Good morning.
I have a presentation. I don't know if it was ended up in the right hands. I emailed it last week, but
It's
not,
in the right hands. They're waiting on your cue. Yes,
then
sir.
we can do it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But it's good to be back in Rockdale. I left out for a while, but now I'm back at the invitation of the chairman and some other sponsors of the task force, which I'll share here in a moment. One thing I want us to start with is us to understand that homelessness is not a Rockdale problem. It is a national problem, a regional problem, a state problem. So we have our share of homeless individuals who originate in Rockdale, but we also have a share of individuals who come to Rockdale or passing through Rockdale and never get the opportunity to leave before they find themselves in homeless circumstances. But either way it goes, we have to deal with those within the geography of the boundaries of Rockdale. That includes the city and, of course, by extension, the school district. And those are the 3 of the partners. But next slide, please. The 3 sponsors, of course, is the chairman, and Vince Edwards, of course, the mayor, Evans, the mayor, and Dr. Oates, of course, the superintendent. I have to be careful. I'm familiar with all 3 of them, so I have to make sure I stay in my formal tone here and give them the respect that they're due. But they did come together at their meeting and say, hey, let's go forward and deal with this. I must admit, of course, that the chairman is taking the lead on this individual effort, and the other 2 are in full support. We've met at the school district, and we've been in contact with Mayor Evans. Both of those individuals are in full support of this effort, and I look forward to the outcome of what the task force can deliver. Next slide. The members come from the city, county, school district, and of course we also added some local nonprofits. Just to add, because they are the service providers who are going to be the primary nonprofit, non-governmental service providers to those who are dealing with the issue of homelessness. Next slide, please. Our task. I want to start here because it's important that we understand exactly what the task force is, and I also like to understand what we are not tasked to do. So our task is really, it's a large but simple task. It's identify and develop quantifiable recommendations that will provide a workable, reasonable, and feasible solution designed to significantly combat homelessness within Rockdale County. The idea of being quantifiable is that we're going to be realistic. These things have a cost. No use throwing something up there and just saying a pie in the sky, we want to do this, but realizing we don't have the funding to do it, or being not transparent with how much it's going to. Please go back. The next recommendation, it has to be workable. What we're looking for is something that's going to work in Rockdale County. We're not looking for something that's going to fit Atlanta. That's not who we are as a county. We are Rockdale County within the Atlanta metropolitan area. We want it to be reasonable. Is it something that we as a county and citizens of this county can do reasonably within the boundaries of the county and in collaboration with others around us? Feasible, closely related to reasonable, but feasible, say, is this something that does not fit within our budgetary constraints or the amount of money we can potentially raise to do this, or is it too much and we need to rail it down? So I don't want to go for a Mars shot and never leave the planet. I'd rather go for a Mars shot and at least make it to Saturn and knowing that we've made progress. So I don't want us to get overwhelmed with the recommendations to the point that we never act on them. So that's what that reasonable and feasible is designed to do. And of course, we want to make an impact. No use making that effort if we don't make that impact to homelessness within Rockdale County. Next slide, please. The definitions of homelessness. Next slide, please. The primary definitions come from the HUD, or Housing and Urban Development. This is long, I'm not going to read all this to you, but in a nutshell, homelessness is any time an individual is staying in a place that is not intended for human habitation. That is the core of what homelessness is. You can read this, and this is of course available with the staff, the public relations staff has it, but it says, first one is there is that individual or family who lacks fixed, regular, adequate nighttime residence, such as those living in emergency shelter, transitional housing, or places not meant for human habitation. There's another part of this which is very relevant to the school district. When we think about youth, we like to think about youth as being that teenage group. Really, the governmental or federal definition of youth goes from 16 all the way up to 24. So it's a larger group. So under 25 represents youth in a HUD definition of homelessness. Dealing with those within the school district is a very important aspect of what we're doing. Ms. Kathia is here with us today as representative of the school district on the homelessness task force, and part of her responsibility is dealing with homelessness among the school district population. So it is important enough to the school district that they have a staff position to address the needs of the homeless or those in danger of needing housing. So that is a very important aspect of what we're trying to do. But there's also a third part of this, and that's individuals fleeing domestic violence. Individuals fleeing domestic violence are a special concern. They may be housed that night, but because of the danger that they're in, they need to flee that, which renders them in a homeless situation. Those are the definitions of homelessness which we have to address, not because they are HUD definitions, but because they are the citizens of Rockdale County who find themselves in this scenario. Next slide, please. There's another aspect of those who you want to keep from being homeless, and those who are at risk of being homeless, that if you do an intervention, you can keep them from being homeless. So that aspect of dealing with prevention and avoidance is very important. An individual is considered to be at risk of being homeless if you're below 30% of the median family income for that area or region in which you live. So if you're below that, you're at risk. You don't have a sufficient support network. My wife and I moved to the East Coast alone. We were by ourselves, but we had sufficient income and sufficient know-how to engage individuals. We developed a resource. But individuals who don't have a sufficient network, we were able to pay for a babysitter. Well, there's individuals who can't pay for a babysitter to go to work, so therefore they don't have a support network, which puts them at risk of spending more of their income on child care. Less of their income is available for housing, which puts them at risk of homelessness. So all of these together can put you at risk of homelessness. So there's a desire to address that. We had the Chief Magistrate Judge Finney come and explain to us, how many evictions do you think we had in 2021, I'm sorry. How many requests to evict? Anybody, just throw out a number. 2,386 requests for evictions were given in 2021. In 2022, the number went up. How much did it go up? Very close, 3,342. Then it went up again in 2023. It went up to 4,148 requests to the chief magistrate to evict someone in Rockdale County. So those are the individuals, when we say at risk of homelessness, who we're talking about. And if they don't have any of this, any of these points of concern available to them, they will be homeless. Right? So it's a very real and viable issue that we're addressing here. Next slide, please. This is our geography. I like to put it up because it tells us that we are dealing with space. Anytime you're dealing with the government of Rockdale County, the administration of Rockdale County, the services of Rockdale County, it has boundaries. And so we're not talking about, and this is an important slide because I like to tell people, we're not talking about the Atlanta homelessness problem. It's a different animal. It has to be addressed. We're talking about the Rockdale homelessness problem, which also means that we have to, of course, deal with the transient nature of homelessness, but that doesn't mean we need to put in a infrastructure similar to what we might see in Atlanta. What may be more similar to what we want to see, and we're actually looking at a potential field trip, is Athens-Clarke County. That's a good mix. They're primarily a college town. Strip the college town out, you still have a city of moderate size and a pretty decent sized county, but at the same time, the population separate from that which is in the university setting is not really big. Most of it is university based when you look at it. But they're putting some things in with their ARP money, which may be a good model for us to look at, and we're planning a field trip. Why? Because they're not in Atlanta. They're looking for a standalone set of solutions that they can implement themselves in the county. And yes, they're going to get regional support, but they've got a lot of things I think that are going to help us dealing with encampment, dealing with landlord mitigation and issues of avoiding that, dealing with school district and how do you deal with the short-term housing issue. So all of that is something that they are initiating. Now, they don't have a 20-year history. A lot of this happened out of ARP money, right? So this is a fairly new for them to have gone through this process. So it's kind of a good model so we can get their heartache and pain as they grow it out and also keep with them. So that is why I like to look at the geography of what we're looking at. Those dots on the separate page are the schools and where they're located throughout our geography. Next slide, please. The working draft of our task and objectives. I'm going to move through this pretty quick. What I want to look at when we go through these draft objectives, we came up with 6. And part of it is just to say, this is where we are right now. So when you see these, they aren't cast in stone and they aren't final. Because as we go through discovery and engage others who are doing this work, we're going to modify it in order to meet the needs that we're looking for. Next slide, please. Our first objective is obvious, shelter. We want immediate access to shelter. Why? You find someone homeless, what do you want to do? You need to put them somewhere. I like to make that very simple. We need to put them in a bed. We need beds, right? And the housings that we're speaking of, who is it needed for? Well, that goes straight to the definition of homelessness. But here's the unique part that we kind of disassociate from our thinking of homelessness, and that is, we got people who are in economic difficulties, people who are judicially involved, people who are mental health involved, those who are drug and alcohol involved, and we're going to add another one up there. It didn't make it to this particular slide yet. Those with just straight family problems, you have to get out of my house. It happens, right? So that's back to that community and that organization of support. And that's a very real and tangible need. Next slide, please. Objective 1 was shelter. Objective 2 is support. Well, we can't keep you in a temporarily housed situation. We need to get you some support. Access to services and case management to assist individuals in moving to permanent housing. And permanent is going to be defined by that individual circumstance. Many homeless individuals need supportive services. Why? Your homelessness. Hey, let me take you somewhere. I don't have an ID. How do you get an ID? Well, I need a birth certificate. I need to put you somewhere and house you and feed you and take care of you to a sense, and I mean that in a loose sense, not an absolute sense. I need to give you supportive services in a sense until I can get you the documents needed to make you independent, to get you to a place you need support. So that's job placement, mental health access, medical, even transportation. Why? Because in Rockdale, we do not have MARTA. We don't have that transportation, so that is needed. Or it just may be moving expensive. Guess how many people are staying in the extended stays who can afford an apartment? All of them, right? But they can't get the credit score to a point in which it's accessible to them. Everybody don't have a 650, and everybody don't have first or last month to get this thing done, which is approximately $3,000 in today's. So I don't have $3,000 and I don't have a 650 credit score. No one's going to take me. Why? Because they're all full. All full. So everybody who is staying week to week and have been there for a long period of time in an extended stay situation can't afford They can afford an apartment. They just cannot overcome that hurdle or barrier to move into it. Next slide, please. Objective 3, prevention. That's pretty straightforward. Identify issues that, if addressed, would avoid homelessness and improve housing stability. Eviction prevention, rental mortgage assistance, utility assistance, landlord initiatives. Those are the things in a nutshell that will aid in preventing. Why? Catch them before they fall. That's the bottom line. Give them the support they need where they're at. Catch them before they fall. I'd rather deal with you at the top of the mountain than have to deal with you at the bottom of the hill. Next slide, please. The last one, we're still working on the wording here. Outreach and advocate, or outreach and advocacy. So we're working on that one. But it's pretty much to go out into the community and identify the homeless population and offer them pathways to housing. Where that's important is to deal with the locations where they're housed, which is not proper, dealing with HOA, dealing with proximity of encampments and housing behind stores and behind business districts, but engage them where they are and deal with that. But also advocate for homeless locally, statewide, and nationally, saying, yeah, it's real, but these aren't other people. These are Rockdale people. These are Rockdale citizens. These are individuals who deserve the dignity of humanity, the dignity of personhood, and then addressing them in that way, in a real and tangible way. Next slide, please. Those are our 4 individual areas. We're contemplating the other 2 and what they should be, but those are the big buckets that we're putting in. Where are we going from here? Well, what's going on from here is that we're going to be looking at putting recommendations to those. Why? Recommendations are what's going to put some action, put some legs to it. But of course, out of those legs, you're going to need some key actions. What we have been determined either by looking at other models and going on those field trips, or through what is best practice in those areas. What do we see as some recommendations to execute and key actions to execute and achieve the objectives that we think we need here. One of the things we know that is going to take place out of this is really an understanding of the assets that are local. I want to be clear on one thing here. We're not looking at something that is made just to fit the needs of the service providers in Rockdale County to deal with the issue of homelessness. We're looking at those who are homeless and what are the services they need, because they may not be in Rockdale County. So how do we engage service and service providers to address the need of the homeless population that we have here? Why? Because if we look at the current service providers and determine whether or not they're adequate, we already know the answer to that. They're not, or we would not be in this circumstance. So either they're inadequately funded, they're inadequately staffed, they do not have the skill set, and one of the reasons that is true is not through, many of them not through the act of their own, they're serving their mission and their purpose, and quite frankly, no individual ministry, service, nonprofit, or entity in Rockdale County says, I exist to serve the homeless. They do food insecurity, they do various other things, but none of them say, I exist to serve the homeless. So when we look at this issue, the primary thing we need, if you want to say, what is the issue of homelessness? What is the solution of homelessness? It is, we need a bed. We need beds, first and foremost. What does that look like? Well, that's the $1 million question, right? That is the $1 million question. How do we get people into bed? How do we get people into coordinated entry? We did have a point in time count, and I will close on this, which is where every 2 years you go out and count how many homeless are in the scenario. County project manager, Jessica Paulette, she led that effort, did a wonderful job. She's my point of contact here with the county on this task force. She led that count. The final numbers from that, so it's not just those who are on the street, it's also those in temporary housing, those in transitional housing. The final official count from that, which goes to the state, then comes back to the counties, will be given out in June, into June, in the beginning of July, and we will know what that number is. That number is important because when they say whether or not Rockdale has a homeless problem, they like to look at that number. That number is generally not correct, but it is the best count we can get at that period of time. So that number is going to be very important as we have larger conversations with the counties around us. But it's going to be consistent with the number of homeless per population of our surrounding counties, if that makes sense. So it's not that we have a big number, but we only have 90,000 people in the county, so therefore that number is a direct correlation. It's going to be consistent with what Fulton counties is in Berkeley. They have a large population, so their number is larger. So you talk about 1 million people in the county, you can have $1 million, 100,000 individuals who are homeless. So that's going to be a direct correlation. So the number's going to look at you and say, oh, it's just 80, just 100? Yes, it's 100 for the 90,000 people we have. That's a homeless problem, especially when they congregate and aggregate within the boundaries of primarily Conyers, because that's where the service providers are within the city that we serve.
Absolutely.
Any questions, comments?
I want to, first, I want to talk about Ron Farley and what he brings to the table. I knew that we, the community as a whole in Rockdale County, had been talking about the homeless issue for a number of years. I'm results driven. Ron Farley has done an exceptional job with bringing Restoration Storehouse to its current state and passing the baton to Dr. Robert Hughes.
Absolutely.
And because of his tenacity, his style of leadership, I knew that this homeless issue needed that type of bulldog leadership to get us from talking to action. Far too long in this county, we've talked about certain things. It's time to pull the trigger and move into action. So I want y'all to just join me in giving Ron a round of applause for his level of leadership. Ron has the ability to work beyond and through the fluff. One of the things he talked about is so many people had multiple ideas of what they thought tackling this homeless issue should look like. We didn't want a flea market of nonprofits saying, do this, do that, do this. At the end of the day, we need money. At the end of the day, we don't need just a shelter. We need a program, a robust program. And here's the thing. Those programs have already been implemented all over the country. I really appreciate him putting emphasis on what we need is something exclusive for Rockdale. Not Atlanta, not Savannah, Augusta, not Texas, not Miami, not New York, not California, but Rockdale County. He has been able to focus on the need, the unique need and the difference of homelessness in Rockdale County. I'd be remiss if I didn't take the opportunity, Commissioner Washington, to say thank you to Mayor Vince Evans and Dr. Terry Oakes, the school superintendent, for joining me in this effort. But before I go on, Ron, I want you to stay there just for a second because I really appreciate this update, and then I'm going to yield to Commissioner Washington. But do you have with you the list of task force members?
I do.
I want you to take a moment and give a roll call this morning. Absolutely. Because no one gets anything done by themselves. And I wanted to make sure before he reads this list, let me point this out. This is not a focus group. This is a group of action.
Absolutely.
We've asked these people to assemble themselves to come with solutions. Not, I think we should do this, I think we should do this, or point the finger at the county, or point the finger at the city, or point the finger at the school system. But come with solutions. So give us some of our action item people.
From Conyers, we have Ann McMicken, Mr. Furman Rogers, who is here with us today, and thank you for his attendance. Katie Stoltz, Brian Russell, and then we have Ann George, who is with Family Promise, Brenda Ernst, Katrina Carter, Destiny Martin, Jessica Paulette, Michael Hutchinson, Octavia Ferguson, Robert Teets, Sandra Jackson Lett, Vaughn Jameson, April Fallon, Cassandra Dixon, Kathia Brown, Tanya Cobb, Tracy Knudsen, Vernon Sands, and of course myself, Ron Fairley, Task Force Facilitator.
Let's give all those folks a wonderful round of applause. Absolutely. Absolutely. The collaboration between the three entities of the county, the city, and the school system allowed for us to bring in talent, people who have background and wherewithal and bandwidth and capacity with dealing with these types of issues on a day-to-day basis in our community. As I was sitting here listening to your presentation and you run down the data and the facts, I did think to myself for a moment that there is still a segment, be it good, bad, or indifferent, of our population and community that just can't identify with all of the different definitions of homelessness. You talked about the school-age kid who's in an extended stay. You went further to break it down, talking about the person who can afford the extended stay can actually afford the apartment, but they don't have the credit score to meet the criteria to get into the apartment, or perhaps they don't have the 2 or 3 months down payment of deposit that is required to get into the apartment. People are in different situations, and whereas you may not know anything about any of this personally, there may be somebody somewhere close near you, whether it be a family member that you want to own or disown, a church member, somebody you went to high school with, you went to college with, somebody you work with. Watch this one. Maybe even a coworker.
Right.
Can't take anything or anybody for granted. I needed Ron to come in, Commissioner Washington, this morning and give us an update. Just last night, this is how it happens. I've given my number to everybody named Mama in Rockdale County, and at 8:28, good evening, Chairman. Does Rockdale County have shelters? There is a family of 5 I'm checking for. Or do you know if Newton County has them? And this is at 8:28 in the evening. My mind shifts completely to the need of that family, but I get emotionally grabbed when I really can't do anything.
Right.
And I'm thinking about, she said there's a family of 5. We've done enough talking. We've done enough talking. I am going to be like the drum major out front in front of the FAMU band.
Wait a minute, no, don't say
I'm going
that.
to be high-stepping on behalf of the homeless population in Rockdale County. You have to understand that you cannot have a conversation about housing without addressing homelessness.
Right.
They go hand in hand. And we've got to have a drum major. And I'm so glad that right now our boots on the ground, our drum major that's in the trenches is Mr. Ron Farley, and the work that he and this task force are doing. We're not done yet. They got more work to do. They're going on a couple of additional field trips to see what has already been done out there. And they're going to come back with a recommendation as to what's best for Rockdale, and they're going to present that to me. I'm going to share it with Mayor Evans and Dr. Oates, and then we're going to go from there. 3 words. Did y'all remember 3 words in his objective? Workable, reasonable, and feasible. It has to work, it has to make sense, it has to be reasonable. And feasible, we have to be able to afford it. We've got to stop talking about it because it's going to take money to get it done.
Right.
Now, as I wrap this piece up, I'm going to yield to the commissioner, but I want to make sure I put this full circle, because you said this and I heard everything that you said, and I'm aware of this. There are over 300 churches in Rockdale County. Every mile and 3/4 of a mile, there's a church. And if you've never broken it down like that, when you leave this auditorium, this assembly hall, and you go east or west on Main Street, north or south on Main Street, you're going to see exactly what I just described as you travel through Rockdale County. Every mile and 3/4 of a mile, guess what's there? A church. So there's opportunity in Rockdale County for us to collectively come together and address the folks hanging out at the Publix, at the Kroger, on the park, at the bench, in the encampment, walking down the street, in front of the hospital, in front of the school, at the barber shop. There is opportunity in Rockdale County for us to do it. This motivates me. This also disturbs me all at the same time. Commissioner Washington.
Yeah, well, first, I want to thank you, Chairman, for taking the initiative to put the task force together. For so many years, people have been pointing the finger, like you said, at whose problem is it? Is it the city? Is it the county? Is it is it the school? Like, whose problem is it? So thank you for getting the people together to stop pointing the finger and put in action behind the need. Thank you, Mr. Farley, for taking the lead and starting to give us something quantifiable so that we can completely understand the need, so that we can go out and address the issue, because we do have an issue of homelessness in Rockdale County. And I don't care if you have ordinances that fan the people away from the city into the county, and back in from the county into the city. These people need us, because to whom much is given, much is required. And we have been given much with time, talent, resources. So we need to at least give them the platform to serve. I was thinking the exact same thing about the churches. We need to bring in the faith-based community into these conversations, because I see something where they can be part of the solution to this problem. So I would love to think about that also when we're talking about our solutions. And also there are other organizations like the Hope Promise that has credit counseling, because maybe we can set up something like that where we can get these people credit counseling and a floor to get them to the next level. And it might be something where we ask them for 1 month, don't buy your groceries. Don't buy food, and we give you groceries, and you save your grocery money for your down payment, something, I don't know. But we can become, now that we have a platform on now that we're understanding that we know the need, we will have a platform on which to stand, and now we can come up with solutions. So I commend you. I thank everybody that's on the task force, because this isn't something that's easy. This is very, very hard. The one thing that I ask that we incorporate in our solution is an education component for the rest of the citizens, because I will tell you that I've had conversation with people who don't even want to believe that we need to be in the space of helping the homeless. They believe that the homeless situation is something that was self-created, and that these people should either A, go back from where they came, or B, we shouldn't worry about them because this is something that they self-created. So we need a education piece with that to start informing people that, guess what, it could be the person that you sit next to every day, because you don't know what is going on in their life. And it darn sure could be one of your children, because the cost of living is so much higher now. So that's the only thing that I ask that we would add. Outside of that, thank you. And I'm excited about this, because this goes to the larger issue of housing. And I will say this, I'm going to present a slide. The Atlanta Business News and Council for Quality Growth had a state of housing forum last week. And one of the things that they said was that as you move out into the suburbs, even though they have housing issues and even though they have homeless issues, it's the inner city, the bigger counties those are the places that are doing things to address the problems. And so now because we are experiencing urban issues and we are considered a metro county, we are going to have to start putting things in place to start addressing true urban issues.
Thank you, Commissioner. Ron, again, thank you. A couple of last things I want to point out, because there are so many people doing wonderful things. In 2017, we established the Unsung Hero Award, because a lot of folks out there are doing good things, and they don't want any credit. They don't want people to hear, acknowledge. They're just blessing folks quietly behind the scenes. On a day-to-day basis, I want to bring this to y'all's attention. This happens, and people know it, but sometimes when you don't see it or you're not in tune with it, you don't realize it's happening right now while we're in this meeting. Both the City of Conyers Police Department and the Rockdale County Sheriff's Office and the Rockdale County Fire and Rescue often encounter homeless people day to day throughout their shift, throughout their tour duty.
Right.
People get dropped off at the fire department.
Right.
The police officers encounter homeless people. The sheriff's deputies encounter homeless people. And a lot of times they don't know what to do or where to take them because, as you've heard through this presentation, there's not a place in Rockdale County. And certainly for law enforcement, jail is not the place to take a homeless person.
Right.
One of the things I've done, and I'm sharing because I think it's important that you know the kind of leadership you have. You have to have leadership that's resourceful. Well, we've got rules and regulations in terms of what we can and cannot do with county funds and county coffers. But having leadership that is creative and having leadership that has relationships, because just like at 8:28 last night, I got the call. I've gotten several calls at 10:30, 11 o'clock, 12, 6 a.m., Sunday, Saturday, and people, Chairman Oz, what are we going to do? And I've had to put on my creative thinking cap to find a way to figure something out, because it's disturbing to hear about a family of 5.
Right.
Thanks to so many people, Jessica Polite, Katrina Carter, Von Jameson, so many folks on our team. We've gone to the parks and picked up a family. One lady had a 3-month-old baby and a 4-year-old and a teenager. And they were literally sitting on the park bench. There's no way I could just get back in the vehicle and drive off, Chief Jordan. There's no way you can do that. To what the commissioner just said, there's some folks that don't think we ought to be touching this at all. Well, no, it doesn't fall under the normal or traditional description of a county commissioner or the board of commissioners. You have to have someone that has a heart for people and service and has a relationship and has creative resources to be able to find solutions. And sometimes you have to do some way out the box thinking and make some sacrifices for folks who are in need. We've got a long way to go. We're making some strides. The fact that we have this task force in place, this is something I'm very proud of. I'm proud of the work that you all are doing. And I know that before long we will have a solution, and that our community partners and all of those entities who are embracing this effort would certainly join forces with us as we continue to move forward. Mr. Farley, is there any closing remark that you like to say while you're in this space?
Yeah, I believe the point was made about the invisibility of the homeless population to the point of people not recognizing is true. And I think both of you hit on the problem. One is individuals are stepping up in an outstanding way and addressing it out of the eyes of those who say there is no problem. So by the time they wake up, those individuals have put their own resources into solving that problem as well they could. But I think the other part is we say that we don't have a homeless problem. Those who would say we don't have a homeless problem in Rockdale County, we're getting them from elsewhere. They're homeless. I think if you went and talked to the individuals in DeKalb and Newton and others, they'll say where you came from, and they'll say Rockdale County. Right. If you look at the evictions of any year, if you just take 500 of those of actually occurring out of the thousands, if 500 of those actually occurred and they couldn't get back into a house here in Rockdale County, where did they go? They left the county. So we're exporting, because if at any given time, if I pick up a phone and don't have a house for someone or a home for someone who has a 3-month-old, who am I going to call? I'm calling Henry County. I'm calling DeKalb County. I'm calling Newton County. I'm calling anybody who has a bed. So we're exporting the problem to the other county. So in some sense, I'm going to say Rockdale County is doing very good at hiding the problem. And I think that time is probably at a point to where it needs to stop. And I think that's the purpose of the task force, is to elevate that and visualize it. But
I have one more point. If people don't understand the effect that this makes on our school system, if you have a child that is going to school and they don't know where they're going to lay their head at night, they don't know where they're going to get their next meal, they're darn sure not going to perform well on a standardized test that they have to take. The test that they have to take, their mind isn't in a place where they can study and they can be protected. So if we don't do anything else, if you're concerned about our school system, then you have to be concerned about this segment of the population, because when we shore up these children's living conditions and they have a place that they know that they can call home and they know that they're going to get a meal, then that's going to expedite and help the school system as a whole. So that's it. That's
outstanding. I think 'cause that all begins with the bed. That's why I'm going to go right back to the point of number one: shelter, a bed. I have to know where you are tomorrow to help you tomorrow.
Right.
That's the bottom line. I have to put you in a bed. The family that you found out there, they may have been hungry, they may have wanted some water, but at the end of the day, where am I going to sleep? Right. I can provide all those services once I resolve that issue. Even if you drop him off at the police department, you drop him off at the fire department, the first place he's going to want to deal with after you hand him a ham sandwich and a glass and a bottle of water is, where am I going to take this guy? Where's he going to sleep tonight? How am I going to resolve that bed issue? So the homeless task force, first and foremost, is a bed issue. I want to emphasize that because we got services. I think of any service that we think we need, food insecurity, training, any of those things, we can tick those off. The problem is we don't have beds. We don't have a place for them to sleep tonight. So the homeless task force, first and foremost, is to address that issue. Then I believe that those other services, we will then have a location in which to deal with those other issues.
Well, this conversation, this presentation certainly warranted this amount of time and attention. And Commissioner Washington, again, you're right. This was a point and place of education. We just educated the general public. And I think a lot of people who had their own thoughts about homelessness in Rockdale County and how it should be addressed and what we should do and this, that, or the other, I think without question, Mr. Farley has just brought us some solid data and information and given us a pathway forward in terms of how we're going to address it. 3 words: workable, reasonable, feasible. Y'all give Ron Farley and the task force a round of applause. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Executive Director Rutledge, no, we've got to move on. I'm going to venture off just for a quick second because I think it's only appropriate just to throw this in at this time. Ms. Embley, if you would come up from Exceptional Community Services at this time, I want to talk about this organization that has just moved into Rockdale County with the grand opening, and they're bringing some of these very much needed services into our community. And I think folks need to know the who, what, when, where, or who you are. Tell us who you are and who you represent.
Okay, great. Hi, guys. Thank you all so much. We're really, really excited to be here. So I represent Dr. Kimberly Laughlin, who is the CEO and founder of Exceptional Community Services. She has been around the Rockdale County area for over 10 years now. Her program has a few different segments to it, but it is very in alignment with the homeless project that's going on right now. So I'll just briefly share like what we're doing now, but kind of where we're headed in the next few years in terms of our programming. So we work with grown-ups with disabilities in the Rockdale community. So we have day centers. Our Conyers one just opened this Friday, as well as we had a grand opening in the Monroe County. Our day center is essentially a place where grown-ups can come in and they learn how to socialize, skills to get jobs. A lot of them kind of learn the basics of like having to be awake, get somewhere on time, talk with other people, dress appropriately. And we have transportation drivers, people that will then take them from day center to jobs. So some of them have been able from this program to get checkout jobs at different grocery stores, restaurants, things like that, which is really, really exciting. But it also provides their families a way to get to and from work without having to figure out, oh my goodness, where am I going to send my relative, my friend who can't physically take care of themselves on their own.
And Emily, I want to, because you're going to be able to come back, and we're doing a spotlight on business for your organization for exceptional community services. What I want you to do, for the sake of time, give them a contact number, maybe a website. Give them your name, and we'll feature you back in. I just wanted to. I think it was just appropriate to bring you up in this space following that presentation. Give us the who, what, when, where, how, real quick.
Okay, so who Exceptional Community Services? We're in Conyers, and Monroe. What we do essentially help grown-ups with special needs, but we're leaning into creating mental health. Actually, low-income housing is our newest project. We have a free mental health event coming up in June. So if we are invited back, I'd love to pass that out to you guys to send information. You can feel free to contact me. My number is 773-569-1420.
Give it to us again and slow it down for the person who found the pen, but the pen didn't write.
773-569-1420. And then if you would like an email address, it is going to be Emily, EMILY, at exceptionalcommunityservices.net.
Emily, thank you so much. I put you on the spot, but you're ready.
Sorry, I'm
Dr.
rambling.
K will be proud of you. I will let her know that you were ready and you represented on the spot. We'll have you back. Don't leave. I want to see you at the close of the meeting, if you all can afford to stay at the close. Thank you, Marcus. Thank you all for being here this morning. Let's give them a round of applause. People doing great things on behalf of all of the people in Rockdale County. Absolutely. One thing I say, Rockdale County is a community that cares, and we love our residents, and we try to do all we can to take care of the people that reside here in Rockdale County. It's time to take care of the people's business in another format. We need to move forward. I think we're down to item number 4. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right.
I move to approve the agenda as published.
It has been properly motioned, and I second that motion. It's been properly motioned and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. The approval of the minutes from April the 23rd, 2024, and May 7th of 2024.
I move to approve the minutes as presented.
I second that motion. It has been properly motioned and second. Are there any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item number 6 is unfinished business.
So item number 6 under unfinished business, we'll take item 146 and 147 together, so I'll read them collectively. Item 146 is future land use map case 2023-02, an ordinance to amend the future land use map of Rockdale County, Georgia's comprehensive plan as amended, so as to redesignate property located at Northwest Ebenezer and 0 Highway 138 from the office institutional future land use category to the high density future land use category, to repeal conflicting ordinances and for other purposes. Item 147 goes along with it. It's rezoning case 2023-09, an ordinance to amend the official zoning district map of Rockdale County, Georgia as amended by rezoning Northwest Ebenezer and 0 Highway 138 AR agricultural residential to MRU mixed residential use district, to impose conditions upon the property, to repeal conflicting ordinances and for other purposes. These are submitted for a second reading this morning.
I move to defer these ordinances until the next regularly scheduled BOC voting session.
I second that motion. It has been properly motioned and second. Are there any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next item, please.
Item number 7 are the items on the consent agenda.
I move to approve the items on the consent agenda as listed.
I second that motion. Are there any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We are now, okay. Wow.
And there are no items on the regular agenda, so we are down to public comment. I have no red cards this morning.
Okay. And before we move into board comment, what I want to do at this time, I think we have a couple of additional presentations of videos that we want to, Executive Director Mims, come on up and tell us what's coming up.
All right.
Absolutely. Our Public Relations Director, Executive Director Melissa Mims. She's looking at me like, Chairman, don't forget.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Madam Commissioner. So we do have a few videos, but some of those department leads are here. I think we have a trash pickup video. There was some trash debris.
War on litter.
Some trash debris from RDOT on the road.
All right, okay.
So let's bring that one up. Would you like to come up?
Let me stay in my lane.
No.
Well, while they're queuing the video up, good morning, Mr. Chairman, Madam
Good morning.
Commissioner.
Good morning.
About a week and a half ago or so, we got a call out to Sigmund Road and I-20.
That's right.
Streets, right? Yep. And so we had all hands on deck.
Wow.
So we have it right there.
What happened?
So we just came out here today to take care of a little bit of cleanup. We had some debris from one of the trucks, but whenever that happens, we here jump on site immediately and take care of our roads. We don't care when, day, night. We're gonna make sure it happens. We're gonna make sure everything's clean and right there.
Wow. Give them a round of applause. You talk about ready response, and I think from the initial text that you sent me the day of the incident, they also was able to identify the driver of the truck and cite him with the citation.
That's exactly right, sir. I took a picture of that too. I didn't think it would be appropriate for the video.
well, let me just say, you know, we have to do things with class, style, taste, and dignity as often as we possibly can. The key is that we were able to ready response is what I like to call it, Commissioner Washington. Ready response. We were able to dispatch and deploy our teams. All hands on deck. It took a team of everybody to get out there, and hats off to the law enforcement that was able to suspend the traffic for a moment or two while we were able to get out there. People don't pay attention to a yellow light at all, and they hardly pay attention to a red light or a blue light. But certainly we had to have law enforcement present while our crews were able to get that stuff up out of the road right away. Also, that reminds me too, Deputy Director Jameson, the powerful impact of what we implemented in 2017 called See Something, Say Something. Citizens have really gotten involved and gotten engaged with our See Something, Say Something. People will certainly use their camera phones, and if they see something, they'll send it in. But that's we appreciate that type of teamwork and collaboration from our departments. I think that was code enforcement, community improvement, RDOT, the sheriff's office, the city police department. I think we had several
GDOT even stopped, yeah.
GDOT, you even had GDOT out.
We even had GDOT.
Lord have mercy, that's good. Okay, all right, okay. That's all right. Okay. We get our state agency to just jump right in and throw on a yellow vest in the time of need. It makes a big difference.
That's because they didn't want to have to deal with you in a
No, because let me tell you something. We're going to make noise on behalf of Rockdale County, from our house to the state house to the White House, and they're going to know that Rockdale is sitting. Y'all give them another round of applause. They're going to know we're in the building. Absolutely.
So, Mr. Chairman, we do have a War on Litter recap, but we also have some special words from Mary Lou about an event that's coming up this weekend. Which would you like first?
Well, I think since we just looked at a little bit of trash and debris, let's keep the War on Litter. That it falls right in line with that. Bring us War on Litter, then we'll let Mary Lou clean it up.
Okay.
All right.
Give us a moment to pull it up.
All right. So as they're pulling it up, you know, we've been doing the War on Litter since 2017. We do a spring version and a fall version, and we encourage all of our local citizens and residents to get involved, and particularly our young people to get involved with taking an active role with helping clean up the community. A lot of times folks think it's a city of Conyers problem or county government problem. No, it's a community problem. Stop pointing the finger and be a part of the solution. Director Njoku.
Good morning, Chairman.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Commissioner. All right, I'm back again. War on litter.
Yes.
And actually, I don't want to stay here by myself because the war on litter is really led out of the CIT team and code enforcement. I have my deputy director from code enforcement here, Deputy Director Chandler. If you would please stand up, because I think it's better for him to present
Let's
the
give
numbers.
the deputy director a round of applause. Absolutely.
And I really want to also thank Kathy Brabueno, because she's the project coordinator that has been working on the war on litter since its inception. And so as we go to video, I would
So
really
Miss
like for
Kathy is the magic behind the scenes.
Oh, yeah.
Give Miss Kathy behind the scenes a round of applause.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
So as we're getting the video ready to play, is it ready? Should I? Okay.
Outstanding. Give him another round of applause. Outstanding.
Thank you, Chairman. I forgot to also give a big shout out to the CIT teams and Mr. Corey Brown out there, but I'll give a moment for our Deputy Director to talk about the highlights of the day. It was a rainy day, but Rockdale County showed up and showed out on behalf of the county.
Very good.
Yes, good morning, Chairman.
Good morning.
Commissioner. Well, I just want to say thank you. Thank you once again to each and every one that put a hand in this effort. It couldn't be done without all the departments head that are represented here. Thank you for expending your people out, just loaning them out for a portion of the day. Again, it was hit and miss with the rain, but at the same time, it gave us a little moment to get out there and do what we do. So, hands off. Give a round of applause to each and every one of you. Thank you, everybody, for making another successful event. We'll look for you in the fall.
Thank you, Deputy Director Chandler, and yes, sir, we will certainly look to re-execute our war on litter in the fall of 2024. Absolutely. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, sirs.
Thank you. Thank you, Director. All right. Mary Lou, let's clean it up.
Chairman, Commissioner, thank you so much for letting me have the floor for a few minutes this morning.
No problem.
I'm sure does everyone... Yes, sir. Do y'all know what we recognize in May?
Mental health awareness.
Yes. Okay. So perfect. So the Rockdale County Stepping Up Initiative, we are hosting our third, and there's a flyer up on the screen. Thank you so much for that. And I have hard copies in hand, but we're hosting our third annual Peace Under the Pavilion. The Stepping Up Initiative has partnered with NAMI Rockdale Newton, and it is right down the road in the Old Town Conyers Pavilion. It is this Saturday, May 18th from 4 to 7. We are going to have yoga. There's going to be free yoga. We're going to have sound bowl meditation. We're also going to have a delicious catered meal from Showtime Catering, some healthy options. And so we probably have about 20 to 23 vendors too. There's going to be lots of resources, lots of connections. And so please come out. I have flyers here. I know sometimes we think of mental health as being like a taboo topic, but it touches all of us, either directly or indirectly. So y'all come on out and let's focus on wellness. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mary Lou.
Thank you.
Give her a round of applause.
May I leave these here for people to grab
If you
afterwards?
would leave them out in what
Yes,
we
sir.
call the vestibule.
Got you, sir. Yes, sir.
Leave
Thank
them
you.
out there, and they'll pick them up on the way out the door. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
And thank you for the work that you do on behalf of Commissioner Williams as she continues to champion mental health and mental illness through our Stepping Up initiative. You referenced the fact that mental health or mental illness is taboo. It may be in every other county in the state, but not in Rockdale County. We talk about it every single Tuesday. And Commissioner Dr. Doreen Williams has been the champion. In her absence, give her a round of applause. Yes, indeed. So, Commissioner Washington, you had a few things that you wanted. We're moving now into board comment.
Right.
Did we have one other president? Did I miss something? Chief?
Yes. So
Okay, tell me.
Executive Director Rutledge had one.
I think we had another episode of, I'm sorry, I lost Executive Director Mims, but I think we had another episode of Grab the Bill by the Horns. Is that
Oh,
correct?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah.
You know what? Thank you. I'm going to shift my mind. Thank you so much. We just got to talking about mental illness, didn't we?
Are you talking about you or me? Because
Well, I'm talking about the situation. How about that? Before they play Grab the Bill by the Horns, let me just preface this. First of all, many of y'all know that Executive Director Rutledge serves in a dual role, a dual capacity. She serves as our Executive Director of Government Affairs as well as our Board of Commissioners County Clerk. Well, in her role as Government Affairs Executive Director, so much of her responsibility deals with all of our state lobbyists, our state delegation, which includes our state representatives and our state senators. In addition, her role also is responsible for interacting with our federal partners, our U.S. congressmen, our U.S. senators, our federal lobbyists that are in D.C. to make sure that Rockdale County doesn't fall between the cracks. When you hear me talking about the fact that we are the second smallest county geographically, we got to make sure we have enough people on the ground, sometimes speaking up, standing up, and maybe even throwing a few bowls every now and then to make sure that we work our way through the crowd so we can get to the top of the room where the money is. And that's a part of her job. So we've asked that she's partnered up. I got to give credit where credit is due. She's partnered up with our award-winning public relations department. Take a look at this.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Rutledge, Executive Director of Government Affairs, and you're watching Grab the Bill by the Horns. Today, we're diving into several House bills, 404, 581, 1022, 808, and 1019. Let's explore what they mean for you. House Bill 404, also known as the Safe at Home Act, sets clear guidelines for landlords regarding rental property maintenance. It ensures repairs are promptly carried out and guarantees a livable space for tenants. Up next is House Bill 581, proposing amendments to property tax bills. These changes aim to ensure fair property taxation by updating property information more frequently and discussing property value calculations. House Bill 1022 seeks to amend the Constitution to establish a statewide homestead exemption law restricting rises in assessed homestead values while permitting opt-out options for local governments. Now House Bill 808 aims to expand the exemption for personal property taxes throughout the state, outlining regulations and processes to comply with the Constitution. Lastly, House Bill 1019 seeks to increase the exemption amount for homeowners from specific property taxes, with the state determining its application and scheduling a vote on it. For more information on any of these bills, visit the Georgia General Assembly website at legis.ga.gov. Thanks for watching. And remember, stay proactive in learning about the legislative process so you can grab the bill by the horns.
All right. Give her a round of applause. Absolutely. Clean, crisp, and concise. That's what it's all about. Giving you the information, no fluff, just bringing it to you, relevant and real and raw, where you can digest it and understand it. And then she closed it out with an email address or a website where you can just go find out for yourself. But she encouraged you to do what? Stay informed, stay educated, so that you will know what you're talking about. Absolutely. Give the Executive Director Rutledge another round of applause. Absolutely. Well, you know, one thing about talent assessment, and this is what they do in talent management all the time, you have to be able to identify the right people on your team that have certain skill set to get a job done, but also people who have a passion for this stuff. I can't think of anybody else in Rockdale County that has a passion for all this legislative heebie-jeebie sometimes other than Jennifer Rutledge. She has been doing this for a long time. She lives and breathes and stuff. If you want to know the answer, call Jennifer. She has the answer for you. Absolutely. We rely on her heavy. And I think her dad nicknames her Senator Rutledge.
Yeah, that's right. Somewhere between Encyclopedia and Senator Rutledge. And I'm like, Dad, you know I actually work with senators, right?
Right. Well, we appreciate you, and we appreciate all that you do on behalf of the Board of Commissioners and the citizens here in Rockdale County. Now, Chief Sanders, was there something else that I was supposed to?
Director Redmond has some updates whenever we get
Director Redmond, that's right. We got all kind of stuff happening in the county. We don't want to miss out on these fun activities. Absolutely. Director?
Good morning, Chairman. Good morning, Madam Commissioner.
Good morning.
I just want to talk about the Sunday brunch. It's coming up this Sunday. This Sunday, May 19th from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. at Costley Mill Park. To register, you can go online or you can scan the QR code that is associated with the flyer that's being circulated. If you need a phone number to call, it is 770-278-7209. And this is one of the activities that we introduced last year that was very popular, and it was asked about and sought after, so we brought it back this year. So we'll be ready for that this Sunday.
And the cost, talk about
the cost. Is $35 per person. There will be a live band playing, as well as a nice ambiance and a meal that's worth way more than $35.
Talk about the food, right? Talk about the food. I mean, you call it a Sunday brunch, so talk about the food.
The food has everything.
Talk about that food.
It is catered by Events by Gas.
Yes.
She's a very well-known caterer in Conyers, Rockdale area. And if you know Gaz, if you may not know Gaz, but the food speaks for itself. She just catered the Leadership Rockdale graduation last week as well. So the food is just fantastic. There are many options for everyone. Any and everything that you may can imagine that will be at a brunch table will be at this brunch event this Sunday.
All right, and the $35 not only covers the entertainment and the food, but also your access to park.
The entrance to the park. Yes, sir.
Okay, very
good.
Well, that's a really good deal. That's a really good deal for $35.
Absolutely.
And it's going to run from 1 to 5.
Yes, sir.
Let me just sing the praises of Events by Gas for a moment. Let me just tell you, first of all, she's a Rockdale resident. Let me get that out first. And then here's the other thing I want to point out. Her food, her catering, her service speaks for itself. I'm telling you, if you've not been to one of her events or seen her presentation, she takes much pride in. I don't know what time she gets up in the morning to work on them shrimp and grits, but she put her finger in the shrimp and grits. I mean, people just, and then the thing about it, Ms. Chester, she gives you a little small, it's only a little small, it's only a little small thing, just enough to just make you come back, just keep coming back. But it's just, she really, so let me just tell you, go to the website, scan the QR code.
Yes.
Last year, that was a big hit for this event last year. I think it's going to be, are you all ready?
We are ready. We had about 150 people out last year. Yes, sir. Okay. We're prepared for that same number this year.
Very good.
Yes, sir.
Very good.
See, the chairman was trying to make me be specific about the menu, so now she has to bring shrimp and grits, Gas, if you're watching.
That was a ploy.
FYI.
That was a ploy.
The chairman's put it on the menu.
Right.
When you start so high, you can't come down. People gonna be disappointed. Let me give me a second, please. The thing about social media, when it's good, they'll go to social media.
Oh yeah.
Right.
When it's bad, they'll go to social media. Absolutely. So you want to make sure that you get right where you need to be, and that we get the right ratings and response. And I'm sure they won't be disappointed. Hats off to you and your team and Mr. Landry being out at Costler Mill and all of the work that you all do, but certainly Events by Gas, and then all of the entertainment is always on point. People in our community are looking for a good time, family fun. A big shout out to the city of Conyers. They just had Mother's Finest this past weekend. A huge crowd. People are looking for wholesome, good fun to do. No one can say there's nothing to do in Rockdale County, because there's plenty of things. What do you have next?
So right into the segue you just said about the concert. So we're going to go ahead and announce our first act for this summer concert series. The first act will be June the 30th. We will have Erica Dawson exclusive. This event will start at 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. at Costa Mill Park. The parking this year will be a little different. You'll be able to enter through both entrances of the park so that we're able to speed the parking up a little bit. So again, it's something different that we're trying. I mean, you know, we want to make sure that we're given an opportunity to do our due diligence, to get everyone in as quickly as possible so that they can get their lawn chairs out of their car and get the coolers out of the car and walk down to where the concert would be. So just trying to give them some time to get situated before the show starts.
Last year, Miss Erica Dawson, she shut the park down.
Yeah,
she shut it down. She's a phenomenal artist, and she has her own following as well.
She does.
So a lot of her own folks come out too.
Very big following.
She won't disappoint.
Yes, in the city of Atlanta. And it's so funny you said that about social media. I read something this week, and I was like, people are so mean on social media. But let me say this about our concert series, right? I'm not going to talk about anybody else's stuff. I'm going to talk about ours.
To my world.
At the end of the day, our concert is an experience. It's not just a band on stage. It's an experience. It's in the park. We have fire rescue there. We have the sheriff's office there. We have some of the best vendors that you can possibly find in the metro Atlanta area. Like, we have people, like, we have to turn some vendors away. We have that much interest for our events right now. So what we're giving is an experience. It's not just a concert. It's not just music. And it's, you know, we aim to please. It's a family-oriented environment. So we just want to keep that in mind. And I just want to put that out there just to support my team and what they do so that they're not discouraged by some of the stuff we see. And, you know, we hear some things, and, you know, Eric Mays has a different saying for when people go low, but I'm not going to take his stance. We take the first ladies. I knew you would laugh at that one. but no, we just want to make sure that we're letting everyone know it's a quality show, and it's open to everyone. So open to everyone.
Well, it's a lot to be said about what we've done with Parks and Recreation, particularly in the area of arts, culture, and entertainment. Before 2017, this didn't happen.
No.
Absolutely not.
The people said this is what they want. So not only is the county doing it, the city is doing it.
Yeah.
Because you, like the lyrics to the song, you've got to give the people what they want. And that's exactly what we're doing. You have a diverse community. And in a diverse community, you have to make sure you're satisfying multiple needs of different demographics of people.
Yep.
Not just one thing, because
Right.
nobody just like the same thing. Give a variety.
Yep.
So I'm really excited about what you all have done and what you're doing, and certainly your leadership out there, and making sure that you are listening to the community and hearing that feedback. And it's okay. One thing I've learned to do as a leader, even with the negativity and the critical comments that are naturally going to come by being in a leadership role, those are good.
Yes.
You know, there's a benefit in having haters.
There is.
You know, and sometimes the haters not always are off point.
Right.
Sometimes it's just their delivery.
Correct.
So you got to have thick skin.
Correct.
As a leader, you have to have thick skin. But people are mean, but we try to be optimistic and focus on the positive part of doing what we have to do to
Yes,
lead
sir.
more people in our community appreciate what we do.
Yes, they do.
Absolutely.
But can we talk about from whence we came? Because we started this in the parking lot of
Yes.
the Board of Commission
Yes.
meeting.
Yeah.
And we said that our people, our constituents deserve better. And so we moved it from, because it's one experience, it's one type of experience to be in your parking lot.
Yes.
But
I
it's
agree.
a completely different experience to be at a park with a waterfall, with a beach behind you,
Set
with
up
the
your picnic.
pavilion,
Yes.
with
Food
food trucks.
Food trucks.
So that's a different type of experience, and we grew from
And it
parking
just
lot.
gets better from here, too.
Exactly.
It just
And
gets
to
better.
your point, Commissioner,
To
we
a
started in
stage.
2017 with about an average about 50, 60 people. And again, last year, every show was 2,500 plus.
Wow.
So,
That's a lot
yes,
of
we have
percent.
grown tremendously. So, yes.
All right,
Thank
wait
you.
a minute. Real quick. So Sunday brunch is this Sunday.
Sunday brunch is this Sunday.
Okay, from 1 to 5.
1 to 5.
Okay, and the first summer concert kicks off June
30th.
The 30th.
Yep, Erica Dawson exclusive.
Okay, is there a fee for the summer
There is. I'm
concert?
so glad you said that, Chairman. There's a $5 per car parking fee.
So
Per car,
that's
not
why-
per person,
that's why
per
I like
car.
the recap. That, you see the
Per car.
essence of follow up and follow through, because
Yes, sir.
people will be texting me.
How much is it?
They charging me to park. Yes, It's $5 a car, not
Yes.
$5 a person. We don't have VIP parking. Don't text me about VIP parking because you have a long title that stretches from here to Rockdale and you want an extra special parking. I park where the regular people, the chairman parks where the regular people park. So there's no VIP for me. Just pay the $5 and ease on in. Bring your lawn chair, your church fan, and come on. All right, thank you. So y'all
right,
give the
thank you.
director of Parks and Recreation. Go ahead and give all those pinky finger people a warning. You know, those pinky finger people, they just, you know, they want something extra special all the time. They got a title all the way down the street.
Those pinky people do. They are.
Yeah, I'm gonna let them call you. They ain't calling me. Absolutely. All right, so let's transition. We cover all of the videos, presentations, and okay. Is there anything red hot from any of our directors that I missed? All right, Commissioner Washington is on you.
Thank you. First of all, we'd like to go over a few of the events that I've attended. First, I'd like to thank the Rockdale delegation. This past week, they hosted, the Rockdale Chamber hosted a post-legislative update, and our state representatives came and gave an update on key things that they were interested in the General Assembly this year. In attendance were Rhonda Taylor, Angela Moore, and Tanya Anderson, and I just wanted to thank them for giving that presentation. The next thing that I was really, really excited about was the Piedmont Rockdale New Infusion Center. For if anybody has, most people know that I had a sister who had sickle cell, and at times she had to have what's called an exchange. And an exchange is when they take all of the blood out of you and exchange it for new blood for sickle cell patients. So the infusion center is for people with blood issues or going through chemotherapy, that they can have a nice, comfortable place to receive those treatments. There's not a good picture of one of the areas, but they have now a TV so that they can watch movies or TV, because sometimes those are 6-7 hour treatments. I know when my sister went through hers, there would be 8 hours of infusion. So I was extremely excited to be able to participate in that event. The next thing, we talked about the Atlanta Business Chronicle and the Council for Quality Growth. They had a State of Metro Atlanta Housing symposium last week. One of the things, like I said earlier, is that we're finding that the big counties, Fulton, the city of Atlanta, Gwinnett, Cobb, DeKalb, they are doing great things with housing, homelessness, being able to bring down federal dollars to help them because they have the structures in place to do so. It's the counties that are considered more suburban, that haven't had to deal with the issues, that they are finding it challenging because we don't have the things in place to bring down federal funds, the organizations to bring down federal funds to deal with some of those issues. So that's something that we need to start looking at in the future as soon as we get our housing study done, as putting things in place so that we can start moving in the direction of trying to help some of these problems. Next, we had the House District 93, Representative Doreen Carter did a Mother's Day breakfast, and then she went to a coffee shop in DeKalb County where we had spoken word and a jazz band. Really, really good Commissioner Larry Johnson gave out Mother's Day gifts, so, Chair, you need to step up your game.
Listen, I'm not in competition with no other chairman in the state of the world with the way I respond to folks. This not a competition, baby. Trust me.
It's not a competition.
But there is no competition.
He had a stack of gifts that he was giving out to each mother. I'm just telling you, it was really
Don't bring
nice.
that here. Go on with your comments.
But we had a good time. A time was had. It was a group of us. Mayor Shamika from the city of Lithonia came and joined us, and I don't know if you all know that she's fresh out of treatment for breast cancer, so it was good to see her. Last but not least, once again, the department of our Parks and Rec department had a line dancing session on Saturday, and the tax commissioner and I got to attend. One of those was supposed to be a video of the tax commissioner line dancing. There you go. So we had a time was had. We had a good time. Thank you to LaVonda Burton. It was great. Everybody enjoyed it. We're looking forward to that being a regular session. We had a great time. So once again, Parks and Rec did the thing because a time was had for those of us who like the line dance. And those were the easier line dances. Those we didn't do Tamia. We didn't do Beyonce. We did the ones that we could do. So that's pretty much my week. So those are all of my comments. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, Commissioner. This has certainly been a very colorful meeting this morning. We've had a very informative meeting this morning. A lot of information, lots going on in Rockdale County. I do want to say thank you again to all of our employees who have their hand to the plow. I want to say thank you to our homeless task force, Dr. Darrell Hall from Way Community Church for coming out, Ms. Kimberly, Dr. Kay and her staff at Exceptional Community Services, and Emily for allowing me to put her on the spot back there this morning about what they're doing to assist families in our community. And then, of course, all hands on deck with RDOT, community improvement, code enforcement with the incident we had with the debris, and all those things that are happening in and around our community. I ran into one of our deputies the other day at the gas pumps that I was refueling, and so many of our employees are watching right now. They often watch these broadcasts either live or they see them later when they're aired. But he said to me, he says, Chairman Nesbitt, I want you to give a special shout out to all of public safety. Mm-hmm. He said that, we have a certain time of the year, usually month of May, they're recognizing the law enforcement people. But he said, I really want to give a shout out to all of public safety and the work that they do day in and day out. So we want to say thank you to Rockdale County Fire and Rescue, Chief McDaniel and her team, Sheriff Levitt and the Sheriff's Office, Chief Freeman over at the City Police Department. And I have to say 911 and emergency management because folks often forget about them. And then there's another group that falls under public safety that people really don't think about, and that is RWR and making sure that we have safe drinking water. That plant, their operations is 24 hours a day. Just think about terrorists and mean people putting something in our water, wipe out a whole community. So the work that they do is public safety as well. So let's give all of public safety in our community a round of applause. So often we hear the negative stories and the not so good thing, but we do recognize that there are more people wearing uniforms and doing the work of our people who mean well and who are doing a good thing in terms of service and carrying out their duties. It's just in every occupation or field or trade or vocation, there's always one or two people that gives it a bad blemish, but it doesn't speak for the entire group. And we have to take a moment and say thank you to those folks who are risking their lives and doing the good work of the people on a day-to-day basis that sometimes don't get the recognition and the acknowledgement that they need. Commissioner Washington, you seem like you're on the edge of your seat.
Yes, because I was just text about 3 times that we have the videos that I didn't show last week.
Okay.
Ready. So the first one is Adopt a Rockin' Pet. I'm
Okay.
excited about this initiative. And you know, talk about things people say on the internet. This was airing on the internet, and somebody commented that neither one of us like cats. But I used to have a cat. I like cats. This just so happened to be a dog. So go ahead.
comment.
Here in Rockdale County, we love our furry friends, but there are so many of them that need a home. So I'm showcasing Rockdale County Animal Services to raise awareness on all the wonderful pets to rescue. Hi, I'm Commissioner Sherry Washington, and this is Adopt a Rockin' Pet.
So who am I meeting today? You'll be meeting Willow. She's a black lab, super fun, very energetic, and loving and submissive. Can we take her out? Take her out.
I am here with Willow, and we are trying to get Willow adopted. She is a recent mom. She came into the animal shelter with herself and 3 puppies. We only have 1 puppy and Willow left. As you see, Willow loves hugs and she loves to be cuddled. She's a sweet girl. She's a 1.5 years old. She is treat motivated and is looking for a new home. Come to 1506 Rockbridge Road to pick up Willow. She's here waiting for you.
Thank you for watching Rockdale 23.
So since this video, Willow has been adopted. I heard that there was just the 1 puppy left. So somebody go and get the puppy because Willow is super sweet. She literally would hug you. So hopefully the puppy will do the same thing. The second video is, I was super excited to hear about some of the progresses that were going on in the Lakeview Estates community. So I wanted to highlight some of those things that we were doing with our water resources and our stormwater department.
Hello, this is Commissioner Sherry Washington. I'm proud to be out here with our stormwater utility department working on Lake Rockaway. We have been hard at work fixing stormwater utility issues in this neighborhood for a long time, and I'm proud to say that it's finally coming to fruition. So Director Simpkins, can you tell us about this project?
I surely can. This Lake Rockaway project has been one that has been a long time in the making. It involves the rehabilitation of 2 dams that service this community. The lower dam, which we're on now, and then the upper dam, which is over across the lake. This Lake Rockaway project is one that is very important to the Sunrise community. These 2 rear roadways provide access for public safety, fire and rescue, and other county services that are very important to the citizens in this community. The rehabilitation of this job involves the upgrading of stormwater infrastructure. Our chairman and commissioners speak to 40 years of neglect. This project is your stormwater utility funds at work. Many citizens think of stormwater utility fees as a rain tax. It is definitely not a rain tax. Your stormwater utility fees pay for rehabilitation and replacement of aging infrastructure that is years overdue for replacement. This project is going to be very important to the citizens of the Sunrise community, and also in regards to public safety. It will provide public safety more access to this community. To prevent this type of erosion, we will be installing multiple 48-inch pipes, which will activate during high water events. We will have one main 48-inch for base flow under the roadway, and we will have two 48-inch pipes to convey runoff during high rain and heavy weather events to prevent the type of damage that you see here. In closing, our chairman, Oz Nesbitt, often refers to 40 years of neglect and the importance of stormwater infrastructure to the Rockdale community. This project is just one example of your stormwater utility fees at work.
Thank you for watching Rockdale 23.
Wow. Well, let's give them a round of applause. Absolutely. I really appreciate Commissioner Washington. First, I want to highlight your Adopt a Pet program that you're partnered up with Animal Services and Public Relations. That was a wonderful video. Yes,
Thank
you did
you.
a
Wait
great
till
job there.
next month.
Yes,
That's
you
gonna be
did.
a cat.
And you got Willow already adopted. We're going to get you over there a little bit more often.
Washington works.
Washington works, all right. And then the work of our utilities, stormwater in particular, Director Simpkins, thank you so much. And that was really good information. Let me tell you, when you talk about the Lakeview Estates community, it takes a long time. It takes time and processes to get the work done out there. A lot of folks say, well, they're not doing anything. They're just saying, you don't have to understand. There's a lot of engineering. There's a lot of technical aspect. There's a lot of design. It's not flipping the switch and making something happen. And then there's locating and identifying funds, money to get it done. So something that folks have just ignored for a million years, you want our watch to just flip a switch and just make it happen. Well, it's not like that. It takes time. But the good news is that we're actively involved and we're making progress and making strides. And the folks out in Lakeview Sunrise will be super excited as those roads are open and the water is flowing properly and the dam is working at the level it needs to be, and it's safe. That's the key, that it's safe. And he did a great job. Let's give Stormwater Management Director Simpkins a round of applause. And Commissioner Washington, I'm gonna come back to you because you almost done found your second caller. You was like a street reporter with that microphone in your hand. You kind of looked like I thought I was watching a Fox 5, 11 Alive or something there.
When they gave me that Channel 23 microphone, I said, "Are y'all sure that the chairman, y'all gonna still have a job giving me the microphone?" Because I was so excited. They had to take it from me. Thank God for Andre, because he was like, "Commissioner, there's some fights you don't want." So,
well, you did a great job, Commissioner,
Thank you.
and we appreciate you championing the causes, particularly partnering up again with Animal Services. And it also gave an opportunity to highlight the work that is already underway and ongoing out at Lakeview Estates with RWR, Stormwater, and RDOT, our Department of Transportation. We're out there working, and we're moving toward progress, and that's just good news. And certainly the people out there are super excited and satisfied about what we're trying to make happen in Rockdale County. I want to call on Executive Director Barkley. I want to ask him to come up because I think there's an opportunity when we talk about education and information. This has been another interesting year at the Chief Tax Assessor's Office. I want to yield to you a moment because I think you talked to me about 3 points of education, of 3 things that are very critical that people need to know as they are addressing their concerns.
Good morning, Chairman, Madam Commissioner. Good morning to both of you guys. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to actually speak in relation to some of the concerns. Part of our office is to educate the public as far as in the evaluation process. Sometimes I think people are misconstrued as far as with why we go about valuing property, and they think it's just to increase taxes. That is not the purpose of what we do. We value properties to have them in line with what they actually are selling for. And some of the valuations may fall above and some may fall below based upon what the market is dictating. We try very hard to value every piece of property within the county at its current fair market value. We don't consider who owns the property as far as one of the characteristics as far as establishing the valuation. We don't look at that information. We only look at the sales within that community. However, because you're giving me an opportunity to come up, I do want to educate on what we do. What we do is called master appraisal. In the master appraisal process, we value an entire neighborhood based on a snapshot within time. We don't do what you see a fee appraiser do. A fee appraiser is someone a bank may hire or someone a private individual may hire to come out and come up with a valuation of your property based upon what the market would actually dictate or what it may sell for. This fee appraiser have certain standards that they're required to follow. And they can go outside of the county, they can go 5 to 10 miles away from where your property is located to come up with a valuation that they may think appropriate for that particular home. We do not do that as far based upon mass appraisal. We value the entire neighborhood based on the sales that occur in that neighborhood. There has been communication and talk, and I don't necessarily like to rebuttal against information that's placed out there online, but this information that's placed is totally inaccurate and totally incorrect. We're not required to be certified through the Georgia Real Estate and Appraisal Board. This appraisal staff, most counties, well, I'm not going to say most, all counties within the state of Georgia are required to be certified through the Georgia Department of Revenue's website. And that's a certification program that they require each appraisal to go through. You have a certain amount of time in order to receive your certification. And most of the appraisals in my office are certified through the Georgia Department of Revenue's certification program. So as we bring in new appraisal, it takes time for them to be certified because a lot of the classes are not offered in the metro Atlanta area. We have to send people to Savannah, to Augusta, and other places in order for them to be certified. So I did want to say, because there is information that people are assuming or saying that this is issues with the appraisal staff. Our goal is only to value properties at its fair market value. That's one of the things that I have consistently stood on, valuing property uniformly and equitable throughout the community. That's my only goal.
And there's an appeal process.
There is an appeal process. You have 45 days from the date of the notice in order to challenge the value. And there's a process that you go through as far as with that. The last date to file an appeal will be June 3rd of this particular year. So you have to have your appeal filed online or in writing within my office by June 3rd.
You know, Executive Director Barkley, thank you for the work that you and your staff and your team does. I really appreciate you taking the liberty to come up and try to bring some clarification. Oftentimes we see people really filled with emotions, and as you stated, they're not as informed as they should be. And then there's other folks sometimes that's kind of stirring the pot, and they're contributing to misinformation or bad information. And you know, this season that we're in seems to be, for a good number of people, instead of being educational and informative, it's become entertaining. And there's a lot of characters who want to entertain folks, and they're entertaining folks with bad information or misinformation. I'm so glad that you, first of all, thank you for the work that you do. Continue to stand tall in terms of identifying the structure between your office and the Georgia Department of Revenue, which is what people need to understand. And again, there is an appeal process. Right. And you've been quite busy. You and your staff have throughout this whole season entertaining, because a lot of folks have been scared through these tactics and emotions of folks just saying the wrong thing and really stirring the pot in a very negative way. I often sit back and we give some real thought and consideration about those people who only goal is to give Conyers and Rockdale a negative image, and to negatively promote our community with all of these wonderful and great things and outstanding things that are happening. Some people are never going to focus on the positive. They're always going to focus on the toxicity and the negativity. But we're going to leave the negative people way behind. Thank you so much. Y'all give him a round of applause for the work that he's doing.
Thank you, Chairman. One last point. I think you brought up the appeal process, and I did want to highlight that as well. again, I think it's important for everyone to understand we're not creating any obstacles for you to challenge the valuation of your property. Sometimes our valuations are not necessarily quite correct from the standpoint we may have more bathrooms listed on your property than you totally have. So in order to correct that, you go through the appeal process, and we will correct that and change that. And in some instances, if it's been on there for your property for quite some time, we will make adjustments and give refunds for those things. So, but the appeal process is your opportunity to challenge the valuation. However, we want to make sure that we're valuing the properties at the current fair market value. That's our primary goal.
Who does the appeals? Like, when somebody appeals, is it you, the people that did the evaluations? How? No. Describe the process.
Okay, well, the way the process starts out, you have to file your appeal through the Board of Assessors office. Once the Board of Assessors receive your appeal, we have an opportunity to talk to you and communicate. We're actually going to send an appraisal back out to look at your property to make sure that everything that we have is correct. If we find that we've made a mistake somewhere, we'll make that correction right away. However, if we find that all of the sales that we have, as far as in our information, in our system at least, is correct, then we're not going to make any changes as far as the valuation on it. What we'll do is we'll forward that information to the Board of Equalization, and that's handled through the Clerk of Court's office. And that's an independent board, separate from the Board of Assessors, who sit and listens to both sides, and they make a recommendation based upon the evidence that's presented.
Thank you.
That was a good question, Commissioner. Thank you, Executive Director Barkley. Chief Sanders, under the BOC umbrella, how many county departments do we have?
14.
14 and about 3 or 4 divisions, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So, the reason I asked that question, because it's interesting to me that one citizen or any one person could know every single thing about every one of our departments and divisions, and they actually don't work in county government or had to spend a day out here doing the work that we do. I've been here for quite some time, and I think I can speak and articulate on just about every department, but guess what I don't know? I don't know everything about every single department. We have qualified, competent, talented people with credentials and education and experience that has the bandwidth, the capacity, and the wherewithal to do what we do every day. Well, I spent some time in public safety, but I don't know. I'm not a fire chief. I don't know the fire department like the fire chief knows the fire department, which is why she is the fire chief. I've been in the people business nearly 40 years. I can't run talent management and human resources. That's why Executive Director Rutledge and Executive Director Holmes, they look such alike, is in charge of talent management. I want to encourage our citizens to always consider the source. Always consider the source. You don't want to get caught up in emotions, and even as entertaining as some of it can often be, how long are you going to laugh before you realize the seriousness of running a community is about getting the work done and getting it done the way it needs to be done on behalf of the good people of Rockdale County. We got to close that meeting out, but I'm going to give you one supplemental comment there,
in that regard. There has never been a time that someone has come to me and asked me for something, and if I didn't have the answer, I would find it. I know you and Commissioner Williams are the exact same way, so there's no need for anybody to go to other people to get a question asked. If they have a question or a concern, they can come to one of us or any of our directors. They don't have to go through a third person, because all 3 of us are so approachable, and our staff, and that is leadership that carries out throughout the staff. Everybody here will answer any citizen's concerns or complaint, and they might not get the answer that they wanted from us, but they'll get a more accurate answer, and they don't have to go through somebody else to come to us.
You're absolutely right. And by the way, our employees are not elected officials.
Right.
They are employees, okay?
Right.
They're people with husbands, wives, children, grandchildren, families, mamas, daddies, sisters, brothers. And some of them are taxpayers that live in this county. They pay taxes here too. So I just thought I'd throw that in because sometimes our employees get beat up on as if they are an elected official. Now, if you are like me, 2% crazy enough to put your name on a ballot and sit up here, you got to have thick skin in order to deal with it. But our employees are in a whole different ballgame, and it's not fair and it's not right. So I wanted to make sure I reminded folks of that. Oftentimes they beat up the employees. These people wake up to get a job done, just like a teacher in a school. The teacher don't go into school to get beat up on by a student. She go to teach a classroom. Same thing for the nurse at the hospital. Our employees are employees. They are people too. Now, we elected officials are people too. We just happen to be 2%, in some cases higher, crazy enough to be able to put our name on the ballot to subject ourselves to all that. It comes with the territory. You got to have thick skin. And they done call me everything except, but it's all right. And we're going to keep it moving. Executive Director Rutledge, is there any need for executive session this
Mr.
afternoon?
Chairman.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming out. Happy Tuesday. This meeting is adjourned.